Hi there, Glocal citizens. Welcome back to the podcast that inspires a borderless mindset around manifesting a new world. I am your host, Florence Duke, coming to you from another balmy, sunshiny day here in Accra, which is a contrast to what we now are in, which is a raining season, which has caused many different, let's say, environmental challenges to exacerbate those that we already deal with. But we're managing, that's the word for the day. We're managing, or the sentiment for today. On the heels of our Women's Her Stories series, I have one of the featured voices on our compilation episode with me today. She is a return guest, and I'm so happy to have her back, to host her, to get caught up on what's new and what's next. And so I'll go into her bio, and then we'll take it from there. She is a dedicated social entrepreneur and humanitarian with a strong commitment to advocating for accessible healthcare for under-resourced women, children, and families. As the co-founder of Fourth Phase, she focuses on operations and their Giving Back program. She also founded nonprofit African Health Now, AHN, which is dedicated to providing vital health information and services across sub-Saharan Africa. Prior to moving into entrepreneurship, she had a successful background in media, having worked with prominent titles such as Honey, Suede, and Essence, and also held positions at the Clinton Global Initiative Foundation and New York Mission Society. Her philanthropic efforts have been recognized globally. In 2017, she received the prestigious title of Humanitarian of the Year from the National Council of Ghanaian Associations, recognizing her impactful contributions. She was acknowledged with a New York State Senate Proclamation, acknowledging her commitment to health advocacy. And she has also received the Andrew Heiskell Humanitarian Award by Time Inc. Nana Eyeson-Akiwowo, welcome back to the podcast.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to hear you.
It's been how many years? You know, we had our last conversation at the start of the Fourth Phase boxes. So that's why it's so wonderful to come back. And now you're fully in it with this business. Fully that is a business. It's not a not-for-profit. It's you being a business. So for those listeners that are new to the podcast, tell us where you're from, where you're local, and what is your craft?
Oh, my craft. That's interesting. I am from Ghana, West Africa. I am local to New Jersey, New York, tri-state area. And what is my craft? Oh, I don't know if I can do anything. You know, a craft?
Oh my gosh.
A skill? Can I make anything? A skill? I don't know. I'm sure I have a lot of talents, but what is my métier? What is my craft? Mm-hmm. Dang, I might have to come back to that. I have to think about because what do we the thing that I can do?
Yes.
I can bring things to life. That's the thing that I can do. I can bring things to life. I can bring ideas and concepts and ideologies to life.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my craft.
Good. And when we've seen it in action, we've seen it in action. I mean, African Health Now was that. It was like poof.
It was quick. It was quick. It was an idea. It was actually you were one of our first volunteers, Flo. You remember?
Exactly.
You and your mom?
I remember.
Yep. It was that. It was definitely an idea that I felt so passionate about and was able to kind of with the support of my network of friends. And that's always been a great piece is having the right network of people who would believe in it and also would be willing to roll up their sleeves and be like, sure, whatever. It sounds fun. What do you want us to do again? I'm like, we're going to create a health fair. And it was like, okay.
Yeah.
Are you a doctor? Did I miss something, Anna? No, I'm not. Don't worry about it. I'm not a doctor, but we got this. And everyone rolled up their sleeves and we got the doctors and we got the people and we set up a health fair. And for 15, 16, almost 17 years, we ran health fairs across Accra, across Kumasi, went to Nigeria. So
that's right.
Yeah. So it was a thing. I do bring things to life. Oh, that's good. That's my craft. I bring things to life. I'm gonna write that down.
which is so fitting because you are in a health, health is kind of your passion. I would say, right? So that is that. So let's talk about the why of how it became your passion. We kind of, I know the story. Some of our listeners know the story, but take us to the African Health Now story that then rolls into the Fourth Phase story.
Yeah. The why for African Health Now was my dad. he was always the kind of like he was the impetus of anything that I did at that time. He had suffered a heart attack in Ghana, and the lack of healthcare or healthcare knowledge and accessibility became probably the first time I ever thought about it. Because we talked briefly before getting recording, was like, coming back to Ghana, everyone going home. And there was a period where we would go home like it was like the flights were $2. You would have thought the flights were $2, the way we used to fly to Ghana at the whim all the time. But what we never thought about, or what I never thought about, was the healthcare, because it wasn't my window of experience of 2 weeks. 2 weeks max, 3 weeks if you're feeling good in Accra, never required me to ever go to a hospital. Never required me to, I didn't get sick. I knew to take my malaria medication. I just didn't have to experience it. And so when he got sick was probably the first time that I had to really come to terms with what our healthcare system looked like, and also the lack of just basic knowledge that individuals had about what they should look for or what they should expect in a healthcare system, or how they should advocate for self. And so African Health Now started because I wanted to find a way to help the people, the community that kind of showed up for him after he got sick. And they showed up in the way of how Ghanaians and Africans show up for you when you're ill. They come to your house, they clean, they cook, they keep you company, they pray, they do all of that. And so the first health fair was meant to be a one-off. It was really meant to be a thank you for the people. And that's what I was like, Florence, can you come? Are you going to be in Accra? And you're like, my mom's a nurse. I was like, sounds good. Bring her. Mm-hmm. Is she free? Bring her. Yep. And somebody else was then we had like Eddie Brown was the dentist, and he did and he was in dental school at the time. He wasn't even like a board certified dentist. Yeah. He was in dental school, but had his degree, and he did the dental. And Andrew, Alexis, and Andrew did dermatology, and he was checking people's skins for different rashes that they showed up with. Did the blood glucose thing. Nana Debanka did registration, and Stanley was on, and everyone had a role. And it was like this amazing thing where all these people were like, yeah, we're in Ghana. Yeah, sure. I got 2 hours, 3 hours to spare. Where are you at? And we did that. And that was, I think we did 300 people in a day. Yeah. And it was beautiful. And then it became a habit. A good habit. Yeah, a good habit. And then I kept doing it. And I think by the time, and now it's at a place where I don't want to call it's on hiatus. Mm-hmm. It's on hold. But by the time we got there, we had impacted over 30,000 lives in the time frame from our first health fair that we did in 2006 or 7. 2006. Yeah. 2000, from 2006 up until even after the pandemic, up until 2021 is when we kind of we started to go into a slow burn. Mm-hmm. And that slow burn just was because there wasn't any funding, and we couldn't find the right support and on the ground support to keep it alive. And so it's like, and that's some of the things that companies and people come against, is like, you want to do something, but short of me moving back to Accra, finding the right support staff and the right people to be accountable and to be supportive and to really do the work was hard as hell. Yeah. And so it kind of had to be we've now started to partner with other people to help them come to their vision and do some of the work they want to do. But as African Health Now as a whole, it's been a bit of a hold, because it was just kind of like building partnerships that were accountable, that were real. So you're like, I sent money for you to build X and you built it. Mm-hmm. And then I show up and you're like, you didn't build it. Mm-hmm. You didn't build it. Mm-hmm. Oh, that person left. He's no longer here with us. Did he take the money with him? Because I don't understand what's happening. What's happening? So some of those things were they were daunting, and and I don't know. I think I fought to sustain African Health Now for such a long time by myself, even though we had really great board members. The funding for African Health Now was never corporate funding. It was never foundational funding, because it's kind of like what's interesting at the time. Now, if we wanted to launch and possibly redo and get funding for African Health Now, because people are interested in on the continent kind of things. Before, it's almost kind of like it wasn't the flavor of the month. It wasn't the thing. You know what I mean? So like
that's exactly
primary maternal healthcare was not the flavor. The flavor at the time period for a decade was water and sanitation and water hygiene. And that wasn't my space. And so I'm, thinking primary. And I think the two flavors are intrinsic to each other. Like I felt like they needed each other, but finding the funding, getting the funding was always so difficult. And after a while, I will admit that, Accra won, Ghana won, Africa, the politics and the politics of running a nonprofit for some time won.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting you say that. And, that is the juggernaut of running a non-governmental organization or not-for-profit, as we understand now in the wake of our U.S. administrations changing the entire policy. Now, I will say that I'm not unhappy to see USAID in a different light and changing, because I myself was a victim of the geopolitics of, we got to do it for this and not for the real purposes. But if you were to look at that sector now, and if you were to say, you kind of mentioned, if you had your silver bullet right now, what kind of partnerships would you see as your biggest strengths to really impact African health in 2025?
It has to be this unique marriage between government and individual.
Yes.
Because I think individual funding or individual investors who believe in the work will always fund and will always support and be a part of it, especially if they're seeing the return, if they're seeing the impact. Whereas government oftentimes is based off of that particular administration at that time. And literally at the switch of 4 years, your whole project could be dead and gone.
Yeah.
And I think that can happen with anything, because any investor could be like, I'm not interested in this anymore. It's not my thing.
Sure.
But I think there is this, in terms of if I was looking for the silver bullet of partnerships, it would be something that had a mix. And I think that's what all nonprofits are looking for, is they're looking for government funding. They're looking for individual funding. They're looking for corporate funding. And that's the kind of the trifecta that you need to at least build your ground off of.
Yeah. Proper public-private partnership. That is it. I get it. So you didn't leave us high and dry with the hiatus, because you went straight into something that is what I want to ask is why the where or why the how. So tell us, how did you come to be in the business of the Fourth Phase Box?
Fourth Phase was my initial solution to what my African Health Now problem was because I was like, I don't know how to fund for this. I don't know how to make this relevant for people in the US and people in Africa. Like, what is the thing? And so I remember thinking about it initially it started out as through the lens of, what's that shoe guy's name?
Here in Ghana?
No. He makes shoes. Zappos? No, it's not Zappos. God, what is the name of the shoe? He makes shoes and then you buy the shoe and then he gives
Tom's?
a shoe. Tom's.
Tom's, yeah.
Is it Tom's? He buys you buy a shoe and then he gives the shoe to someone in India.
Moccasin shoes?
The moccasin shoes, and gives the shoe to someone in India. And I was like, but his is and I was like, that's a for-profit business. And he was like, yeah. So for profit, I'm selling shoes to you in the US for $50. And then a shoe gets made in India for someone for $0. From your 50, I can do this. So I remember at the beginning, and the first investor I spoke to he was like, yeah, that's great. But like, you actually could make this a thing here in the US. Like Fourth Phase, if the concept around Fourth Phase was providing. So I'll backtrack. What we were doing with African Health Now is we had this thing called the Go Box, the maternal Go Box. And the maternal Go Box was an incentive to mothers to get primary and prenatal care, pre and postnatal care, delivering in these government facilities, encouraging women to go to the hospital as opposed to going back to their villages and delivering in X place, not having seen a doctor and just showing up day of contraction and then having all of these kind of like maternal issues during that process. And so the idea for Fourth Phase was like, well, if this is the Ghana version, we could make a US version, because what is missing in the US is the mom's products, because the US is inundated with the baby products. So US culture is get pregnant, so the trials of getting pregnant, then your pregnancy, that pregnancy period, that 9 months, and then your baby shower, and then they cut. And so at the cut is where you no longer are getting the care for the mom. So we had launched this thing called the Maternity Go Box. And the Maternity Go Box was an initiative to kind of push market women and moms to go seek pre and postnatal care. And so after they would stay with the program, and then we had created this kind of academic program. So they were, and in partnership with what the local hospitals were also trying to do, is getting them to come and learn about their bodies, what was about to happen, the labor, what they should do with their child, blah, blah, blah. So we wanted to encourage that. And we said that if you stay and you deliver here, you would get this box. And in this box was everything that the mom and the baby needed. And what was different from the Tom's idea, which was Tom's concept was we make a shoe, or as I understood it, they make a shoe and then they bring a shoe to someone in India. But by bringing the shoe to someone in India, you take the money away from the Indian shoemaker who no longer gets to make the shoe. So what we wanted to do different was that we would purchase and procure all of the things that were going in the box from women in the market. So that we continue to put the money back in. So the diapers came from a woman who was running a baby shop in the market. The Ankara came from a woman who was running a Ankara shop in the market. All of the products came from women in the market. So we were trying to funnel that cycle to continue the thing.
Beautiful.
And what we started to find as was it was just getting harder to do. And I wanted to figure out what could I do to make it both a global concept, because what was happening is that Ghanaians don't talk pregnancy at all.
At all.
A woman just gets pregnant and then she is just there, and then a baby shows up and then she just has a naming ceremony and that is it. But there is a culture around her recovery. It is just very private and insular and just siloed out. Mm-hmm. American culture, especially Black women in America who are having these high rates of Black mortality rates, we don't get care post-baby. Mm-hmm. So American culture is, she's pregnant, then you have all the pregnancy outfits, and then she has a baby shower, and everything she gets at the baby shower is for the baby, and then she has the baby, and then she only gets one visit after that baby, after she delivers, and then we don't talk to her again. And so then this woman now goes in and sits and suffers in this silo. So it was like, well, we can globalize this motherhood experience, because the reality is that no matter where she gives birth, what she is going to experience will be the same.
Yeah.
Who gives birth, if it's Lenox Hill or if it's at Kolebu, your vagina is going to experience the exact same thing.
Right.
If it's Beyonce money or market woman money, the shit's gonna hit the shit the same way. It's gonna be the same thing.
Right.
Now, what is different is the care that you get. But what your body physically is gonna go through is oftentimes very much the same. So why is the conversation not the same? Why is the care not the same? Why is the way we talk about it? Why is the way we treat it? Why is the way we advocate it so different? And so when I started initially was just like, how do I create something that is a social impact brand that allows for women in the U.S. to get the things that they need. And then from when they get what they need, we can also support and supply women in Africa with what they need. So it was meant to feed into each other. And then it did. And it has, and it continues to do that. It just does it a little differently now. And so that is kind of the why, the how. I hope that was the why, the how.
Yes.
And everything in between.
It is.
I hope that was it.
So this idea, so that's beautifully put. And I want to dig deeper into I want to say the Glocal speak, but the Glocal speak around what's unspoken with postpartum, that fourth phase. So tell us how you characterize.
So the thing that's around the fourth trimester that's not spoken is one that is called the fourth trimester.
Yes.
And in the beginning, it was just no one talked about what it was called. It was just like she gave birth and what. And the fourth trimester is the time in which the woman's body has to now go back to whatever it was or figure out its new normal. That period lasts anywhere from 6 weeks, 12 years.
Wow.
6 weeks to my daughter is 12, and I say this all the time. Omalara is 12 years old, and I still do not have a pelvic floor. Still, if I jump now, I will pee on the ground. He asked me to do a jump. If he asked me to do more than one jumping jack, the first jumping jack feels like a little,
Yeah.
By the third jumping jack, I've literally peed on myself.
Oh,
I don't do jumping jacks.
Sure.
I don't do jumping jacks. I'm not jumping double Dutch. I'm not getting in the, let's jump. I'm not doing anything that's going to require me to jump if I'm not prepared to the possibility of a little sprinkle tinkle, because I don't have a pelvic floor. And so this idea that I would have given birth 12 years ago, and that in 2 days or a week or a month or whatever, my body would have been right back is false. And what happens is, and then that's your physical body. We haven't really talked about the emotional toll that you go through when you give birth to someone. It is a losing of self, a gaining of a new self, but a losing of self. And if you're not in tune to the fact that the person you were before is not the same person you are now, because you have this new human being that's been living in your body, it's a different relationship. So you have all of these like physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, all of these things that a person's body has to go through that didn't have language. And so oftentimes when women were coming back to their doctors and talking about, especially the emotional, if anytime I tell you that I'm feeling outside of myself, that is a real thought. Doesn't mean I'm depressed. Doesn't mean I have postpartum depression. Doesn't mean I don't want my baby. It just means that I have this feeling of not, because I am outside of myself. The self that started this journey is not the same self that's in this journey right now with this new baby. And so moms were finding themselves going to their physicians and talking about it. And then you had all these people being deemed postpartum depression. I don't have postpartum depression. I'm just in my 4th trimester. I'm in another phase of this period that's going to take me time to recover, to figure out my new normal, to heal, to, all of those things.
Yeah.
And so for us, the 4th trimester was so important because it was the space in American culture where we started to see, like, they just don't talk about this. Nobody's talking about this. Nobody's dealing with this. Your baby shower culture is done. Nobody need another onesie. Don't buy me no onesie. I don't need another goddamn onesie. But I don't know what to do with my body. I didn't know that, thankfully my mom lived with me for a year. My mom was in the delivery room with me when we gave birth. And as soon as I gave birth and I passed my first, went to the bathroom and did all of that, she pulled out a lapa from inside of her bag. I was like, where did that come from? And she was like, sorry, stand up. And she tied my belly.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah.
What are you doing? And she was like,
this is how it works.
Tied it. And I got back in the bed and she was ready for the time for breastfeeding. She knew when I got home, this is the soup you're going to drink. This is the thing you're going to get. You're going to eat. I had cocoa for breakfast every day. I was like, why so much cocoa? I needed to produce milk. All of these things that she had, Asians have it.
Yes.
Indians have it.
Yes.
Every culture has it.
Yes.
But it seems like this kind of traditional American culture just had existed in this I had a baby. It's my baby. You stay over there. I stay over here.
Yes.
And so we wanted to find ways to kind of change that and start getting mothers to talk about this global experience that we all have, this thing that we all go through. Women in Ghana are going through their 4th trimester, just like women in America are going through their 4th trimester. Women in Ghana are trying to figure out how to breastfeed, just like somebody else is trying to figure out how to breastfeed. I'm trying to figure out why I feel this way about so many things, the same way Akos in the market is trying to figure out. She may not be paying in tune to it. She might not have a person to talk to about it, but she's feeling it. Woman in India is feeling it. Woman in China, it is universal, this motherhood experience. And it had become to this place where it wasn't. It felt very disconnected. And so what ended up becoming 4th phase and what 4th phase is now is this kind of global experience for mothers. We want moms everywhere to understand these are the things that your bodies are going through. How you heal and how you deal with it are all going to be different based on your particular cultural nuances. But trust that the lady sitting next to you is also going through the same thing. That kind of thing.
Wow. I mean, it's so fascinating because, where most of my friends, we're at this phase where we're in that transition out of reproductive, being the reproductive years. And so there's that perimenopause. And similarly, we have women who are another thing that hasn't spoken about, but when you go to the health side of it, there's not the conversation with the physicians and then there's the cost, right? Because the cost of whatever prescriptions or whatever it is that is for particularly women is more expensive. Whereas, all of those, let's have sex, Viagra, Cialis, all those samples all over the place, everything. And so the inequality in gendered healthcare is really something that is pressing, particularly in the US health system, I think, and maybe globally. But now thinking about how you have this now community that you've facilitated or are facilitating. What is the business model that gets the word out and really kind of starts to center it? Because you're still in startup phase to some extent. So tell us a little bit about this journey of communicating your business model and building a customer base.
Building a customer base is thankfully I think we've done a really great job in that we started off with the education and advocacy portion of it first. And so starting by, when we started with the petition to even get the words fourth trimester put in the dictionary because you couldn't understand or articulate what you were experiencing if you didn't have a word for it. And the word fourth trimester wasn't in the dictionary. So we ended up getting it I think we got it into Webster's first. So we got it into Webster's dictionary.
Wow.
And so when you start to think through that kind of advocacy, that kind of language, that was the first piece. And then we started educating around the products and educating why the different products were important. And so the customer base started to build organically, and we've been really intentional about building an organic brand and getting our customers how they come to us. We're not buying our Instagram followers. We're not, and not that other people are. I can't speak to anybody else's, but I just know that it's a option in the world of you could buy your followers, and then it shows that you have 10 million followers. No, we don't. We don't have 10 million followers. We have this amount of followers, and we value every single one of them. And they can each text us or reach out to us and ask us a question or email us and get us. So we've been building this kind of community, really wanting to be in partnership with moms and midwives and doulas and OBGYNs. And so we've been intentional in that way. And I think that's how we've been able to build, is just being intentional about naturally growing real connections with people who understood the work that we were doing and believed in the kind of work that we were doing. And then those people have essentially kind of manifested themselves into repeat customers and sharing the word and spreading the word in our space. So yeah.
Sure. Thinking about the practitioners and caretakers, when you say the education, how do you continue to engage with them as a source of its information, but just even educating them on this idea of that you had to petition to be named, but that, has been kind of unspoken. So how has the relationship with care professionals grown and expanded?
They were with us from the beginning. When we started, one of the things we did was we did focus groups. And so in that period, that incubation period from the idea of what fourth phase would be to the fourth phase being to being an actual product, we incubated and did a series of focus groups with moms, new moms, old moms, midwives, doulas, OBGs, all of this various groups. And that was the kind of the beginning of the community build. And those women and those individuals have been part of our sounding board. And we have an amazing board of advisors that are make up of midwives, doulas, different, even logistics persons, all of these different types of individuals that help us when we are trying to figure out how to grow, what to do, when we want to have the conversation, when we want to tap into something. We have our base, our kind of our founding fathers of advisors who are there for us.
Nice. And so when you talk about logistics, it made me think of products.
Products, yeah.
So what did you decide as so how did you use them, but what are the key components of the fourth phase box?
So the fourth phase box, it started off as a box, and that has been the core of it. And we started off with a vaginal box and a belly birth box. And belly birth box is the word for C-section. And so in that box, moms received everything that they would need for lactation, for perinatal, perennial care, and skin care. And so, and mindfulness. So they were getting, in the box, you get a bod butter, which is a shea butter product that we create to help with your skin moisture, stretch marks, things of that nature. You get a Glow Essential product, which is one of our more premier kind of products, which was intended for moms to really take time. That packaging of the Glow Essential was intentionally put in a glass bottle with a dropper, even though it is an oil as opposed to doing a pump. We wanted moms to have that moment where you're no, I have to be mindful that this is my self-care time. And so it's not you can't just toss it and run it. You got to really take your time with that. And then we have Cocoa Nip, which is a nipple cream, which is for lactation. We have the Belly Birth Balm, which was a C-section incision cream that's for moms if they've had a C-section. So that went in one particular box. Then we have a Peri-Soother, which was a kind of bidet, a portable bidet for moms to use and take with them, as because if when you have a vaginal birth, the last thing you can do is take toilet tissue to vagina. Is the last thing you want to do. The first, after vaginal birth, you literally never want to see toilet tissue in your life because it's not a wipe. It's rough. And it's not even Ghana tissue that's rough, because you know that Ghana toilet tissue that T-roll be devastating. It's not even the T-roll. It's like, even if it was Charmin's, whatever it was, that joint was going blister and burn. You'd be like, oh. So we had the portable bidet, and then we created our version of the lapa, like the wrapping, the belly binding. So we had that. We had postpartum underwear. We have a lactation tea. In our initial box, we had a beautiful gua sha stone to help with the lymphatic draining and also helping moms as they nurse to kind of get their breast milk down, to bring down the swelling. And then we also have the flax pack, which we still have, which is a kind of lavender and flaxseed pouch. You heat it up, you cool it, and it helps with your neck pains, your back aches, your pelvis aching. You could always put it on your breast if you're in the midst of breastfeeding, and on your neck. It brings this kind of emotion, soothing scent through the lavender, but also this kind of healing feeling through the cooling or the heat, whichever one you chose to do. And so when we started off, we did those two boxes. And what we learned in doing those two boxes was that a lot of people were like, I don't know how this person is going to give birth. And so a lot of men, what's funny, it was a lot of men that were like, I want to give this box to my homeboy's wife. I want to give this box to my wife, my boss's wife. My boss is about to have a child, and I'd like to give them this box. And so we were finding a lot more men were reaching out to us and asking us, I'm not about to ask her if this is vaginal or not. Right. It's not like it's my baby. And we were like, oh, so then maybe we should create the Every Birth box. So the Every Birth box then became the universal box that had everything inside of it. And so we started off our first two models were the 2 boxes. Then we launched to 3 boxes. And then we got to a place where we were like, great, now people understand our products, they understand what they're getting. So then we created a space where we could then create smaller boxes. So you could get a lactation box, and that would just only have the lactation products inside. You could get a skincare box, a body and mind, and that would only have the skincare specific products for you to have inside. And then we also now provide all of the products a la carte on our website and soon to be in Amazon as well, so that you could purchase whatever thing, if you wanted to replenish, if you wanted to make your own bundle, you wanted to do your own thing. But the development of the products, my co-founder, Marcia, and I really went through a lot of kind of thinking about what I used. A lot of the things that I knew my mom used on me, especially the bod butter and the belly wrap were 2 really key things for me in my pregnancy or post-pregnancy. And then we just kind of continued to curate, and we talked to moms, and we talked during our focus groups. They were like, I like the nipple cream, but I always have to wipe my nipple off before I could feed the baby, because the nipple cream is healing to me, but has something in it. Yeah. So we were like, oh, let's make a nipple cream that can go straight from nipple to mouth. You don't have to wipe it off. Yeah. And so we just started to create and kind of tinker. And so all of the products we ideated and we formulated bod butter, cocoa nip, belly birth, glow essential, and the tea. So of the box, we formulated and produced 5 of the products in there. Yeah. Nice.
Okay, industrialist.
Yeah. So add that to my craft.
There you go.
I make shea butter.
Yes, indeed. So that's a whole other aspect of like the science, right? So recipes and cooking and all of that stuff. So right now, how big is the team? So growing the business, when did you bring on staff? Growing the
business is still 2 people. It's still Marcia. Marcia lives in Arizona, and it is me in New Jersey. And we split operations and logistics is me, and she is marketing and comms in Arizona. Okay. And it's still a team of 2. We still a team of 2.
And then I guess you have consultants and contractors.
That is still me and me and me. It's still us. It's a consultant. Marcia's going to consult with Marcia. No, yeah. And then we do have consultants and contractors for certain things. Yeah. But for the most part, I make and ship every single box.
Meaning you put the mix in the bottle?
I make and ship every box. If you got a box, I sent it to you.
Wow.
If somebody got a box, I sent it to them.
Okay.
If you got a shea butter product, I personally whipped and made that shea butter, piped it in that jar, put the seal on it, wiped it down, put the label on it, put the label on top, put it in a box, and sent it to you.
Wow. Okay.
I did it.
All right, girlfriend. High five. Like, yes, you are. And this is startup. Like, this is really being an entrepreneur.
It is a proper startup.
And really getting to the point where, I mean, and obviously it's sustainable. You know, the volume. I mean, you're able to do it. You know, I mean, I'm sure you make batches and sometimes you have inventory ready or not ready. But wow. So just thinking about, is there a vision? Like, I know that you recently were awarded. Tell us about your recent awards that you, or I think it's an incubator.
What did we get?
Or you have it wasn't an award. You recently became a part of, was it an incubator?
We've done a few. So we've gotten the Glossier. Exactly. So we got a Glossier. When we first launched, we got the Glossier Black Beauty Award. I think that's what it's called. But we got an award from Glossier, which was probably... And that was an accelerator program, and probably the best experience we've had in an accelerator program, because they were super thoughtful about everything and they really opened up their Rolodex. There wasn't a person within the Glossier ecosystem that you couldn't tap into that you didn't ask for. And they'd be like, oh yeah, I got that email. Hold on. And then they would just connect you and you could ask questions. You could say, look at my packaging. Does it make sense? They does. Look at how did the box come to you? It came great, but you should add this to it. Take that out. Do that. Look at our deck. Does the deck make sense? Yeah, the deck makes sense, but these numbers don't, but this does, but add more of this, take less of that. The 3PL, what 3PL should I use? These are the top 3PLs that we use when you're ready. Think about this person. Like, they were amazing. And even to present day, we got that award in 2021. I think we got that award in 2021 to present day. If we email someone at Glossier, they will still respond. Lovely. And so they were just amazing. We've gotten the Brown Girl Jane, a Brown Girl Jane Shea Moisture grant, which was also an amazing experience with them. We recently did the Revolt TV and Target Bet on Black Challenge, Bet on Black Challenge, which was really amazing as well, and got great feedback on the product and got great exposure and stuff from that. We were part of the Black Ambition finalist group. We didn't win, but we were part of the Black Ambition finalist group. And then a series of other grants in between there. But it has been, it's been really amazing. It's been really great. It's been extremely challenging. I will not lie and tell you that, as a small business, when you don't have money to do the thing you want to do and you have to figure it out and pay for it yourself. Yeah. It's like, oh God, how long am I going to have to do this? But you still do it because you believe in what you're working on and you know what it has the capacity to be. Right. And so, it's been good. And partnership is challenging, but in the same thing, it's like we believe in what we're doing. And so the two of us kind of just continue to roll up our sleeves and do it. We have the Healing After Birth podcast, which we tape. And that's been really amazing, giving us an opportunity to talk to moms, midwives, doulas, and other parents and professionals who have a POV on postpartum care, who have a POV on how moms or birthing individuals can really reclaim their new self and heal after delivery. So that's been really amazing and great. And I'm sure there's something I'm missing. There's probably something we did or won, and I'm so stuck in the dirt. And I'd be like, huh? What happened? What? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's great. Clap for yourself. Clap for yourself. Right. But all that to say that is amazing, and it's amazing progress. And so when you think about a mindset hack, right? So you're this busy person, like you're in it all the time. How do you hack your mindset as an entrepreneur, as a mom, as just a Black woman who is in business? How do you hack your mindset to just be like, okay, let's refresh? Oh, I don't know. I don't have that. You got one? I don't have a hack. I'm winging this shit. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Really? I have no, like, we talk about this. We had a podcast. We talked about it's like the concept of balance is overrated and it's not realistic. I don't know what balance means. I don't Balance to me is I came home last night and I was able to sit on the couch with my husband and have conversations with him in the middle of emailing somebody else back that had started like at 6 a.m. but never finished and was like, oh, I should finish this draft and send it. To me, that's balance. But this notion that I carve out, I don't exist in the space where it's like, I have 3 hours to do this, and then I pause, and then I have 5 hours to do this, and then I pause, and then I walk. I don't have any of that. I'm sure I have the same 24 hours everybody else has. It is just moshed together. Right. It is much. This conversation is in the middle of something else that I should be doing, and it is just going to get done. And the other thing is also going to get done. How? Don't know. One thing might fall a little later than the other, but I said yes to this. And so this is going to happen in this space. And I just have to accept that everything will not be done at the same priority level. And that is probably the hack, is just prioritizing what has to happen. But I don't have this, like, life is not balanced. I'm not balanced at all. Not even remotely. I just ordered my groceries while we were talking.
There you go.
That's what I'm talking about. I ordered my groceries. I sat here while in between freezes. I was like, yes to yogurt. Yes, milk. We need eggs. We need, okay, perfect. And I ordered groceries. And
so I think you put it really well, because you've figured out that sometimes hacking is organizing.
And I'm not that organized.
Well, I mean, the fact that you understood to let me order my groceries at this time, and that prioritization, right? So that you're not stressed, right? That's really, you still can clap for yourself.
I can clap for myself. I clap for myself because I woke up and I didn't go crazy. That to me is I clap for myself. I didn't kill my husband. I didn't leave or run away from my child. I clap by myself because I stuck in it, and I'd be like, you're here. Okay, yeah. We can do it. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, look at that. We can do it. Let's try. Today we will try to do it. And I don't know. I think I see people who are super organized, and I envy it. And I wish that my brain operated that way. I wish that my brain was one that I'm like the worst person to give an assistant to, because that assistant would have to sit with me and talk to me all the time to understand what my work to do the work, because I'm in the middle of something else. I'd be like, oh, we should do that. And then I'm back to something else. So I really envy the kind of people. My business partner is organized. Like, I know I drive her crazy. I drive her insane. But she is organized, and I appreciate and respect that. She has a different lifestyle than I do, and it works out. And I think it's awesome for her. And the business needs that, and the business needs what I offer it. But when I think about just like life, my dad. I remember my dad passed away. We bought a house, and I got a contract for another job because I still consult. So we bought a house, I got a contract, and my dad passed away in the same week. And I closed on the house, made it to Accra, and accepted the job and started. All three things had to happen. Now, to the sequence to which they all had to happen, but all three things had to happen. My dad's dead. I can't fix that one. So he had to come to Accra. Yeah. We bought the house. And now that you bought the house, you do have to sign the closing papers. You have to give them their money. You have to do all of that. Yeah. That had to get done. And I got this new contract, and I had said yes. And they were like, are you starting? And I was like, oh, actually, can I have another week? I'll start in 2 weeks after that. And so the 2 weeks that I didn't start was the 2 weeks that I went to Accra. That was the day before. That's when we signed the papers for the house. And then I came back, and we were like, all right, now it's time to
fill the house.
We got to fill it, bury, move.
Plan the funeral.
Plan the funeral, do all of those things. And all of those things still got done. And to the best of my ability, was it perfect? Possibly I dropped a ball here or there in between, but almost kind of like a wedding. It's like nobody knew what you planned. They only know what they experienced.
And because I saw you that week, I would have never known, except for the part of the grieving, right? And so to the extent that, girl, again, pat yourself, because you really clap for yourself. Yes, you really.
We did it.
Exactly. So, so time tells us something. And I think there's always this guidance that is our inner compass. When you're working on something that's passionate to you and is making a difference in the world, it makes all the difference. And so before we ask, because you said that you don't have balance, but there's something you got to do that is leisure in your life. We'll get to that. But what's next and new for fourth phase? What is your vision for the next, year, 18 months?
Retail.
Oh,
the next 18 months is getting into retail. Is one of the things that we really want to do. We really need, but we also know that before you can get into the retail cart, we need the investors and the funding to support our inventory boost into the retail space. Yeah. And then also being mindful of which retail spaces that we go into. So that's another conversation. But those are some of our key things. It's like, how do we start? We've done all the grunt work to get ourselves to a place where we feel like we're ready to pitch and to kind of look in for our first round of real seed investors. And so that's where we are. We're trying to figure that piece out. Like who do we go to first? Where should we starting those conversations? But then on the back end, kind of continuing to build our customer pipeline and their experience when they come to our website. So constantly finessing what that looks like. And what the other offerings that we have, and making sure that the product that we're offering is not top heavy for no reason. So it's like looking through our SKUs and being like, what are moms really coming back for? What are people really coming back for? How do we make this sustainable? The box as itself lives as a beautiful gift item, but is that really, once she's purchased the box one time, how does she come back to it?
Sure.
So making sure that we are creating something that has like a longer life, than a longer sell life or relationship with the customer. Yeah. To offer, giving them more offerings. And I think those are our kind of our things, are like, and then also getting organized, because I'm not that organized. Like I said, I ain't gonna lie. I'm not, one thing I will always do is tell you the truth, even if it's out of fault. I'd be like, hey.
That is a key to success. Quite honestly, like honesty is the best policy. And as a Ghanaian dealing with the Ghanaian culture, honesty is the best policy. Thank you for that. Thank you. Okay. So I know you're a woman of little time. So we do want to know, who is Nana when she's not working on being a social entrepreneur and changing the world in that way? Are you a reader, a watcher, or a listener? What are your favorite reads, watches, or listens? Or what else do you do in your leisure time?
I used to be a reader. As you can see from all these books behind me, I used to really be a reader. I have not cracked a book in a while. And I want to change that for the summer. I want to find a book that I want to really jump into. I am a listener and a watcher. But the thing that I'm watching is the same thing that I watched a long time ago. So I watch TV to empty my head, not necessarily for you to entertain me. Yeah. So I will watch Golden Girls over and over again, because that joke is great every time.
That's true.
That joke hits every time. Every time. I don't have to be worried about the writing. That joke hits year over year, time over time. And sometimes the joke that I got the first time isn't the joke I got the second time. So I watch The Cosby Show. I watch Golden Girls. I watch, my daughter's like, you watch all the Chicagos. I watch like Chicago PD. I watch things that allow me to empty my mind. We're not going to go far with this. Yeah. I just emptied my mind.
Sure.
And I listen to the same old music. I am not listening to any new music. I still listen to Barris Hammond like he just put that album out.
Barris.
Listen to Barris like he just
classics.
Put out it's classic. I still listen to it like he just put out a new album. I sing to it like it was like it was yesterday when that dropped.
Yeah.
And so those are my things. And then I'm also really into home decorating. And so that's become like a new fun thing, figuring that stuff out. And I have a 12-year-old who I really she's cool.
Yeah.
She's interesting. I hang out with my 12-year-old. She's a quirky little.
She was a cool pre-1-year-old trying to walk. So this little girl, she was walking before she was 1. So she's been cool from
She's
day
been
one.
cool she's pretty cool. And she's like really into like, she wanted to be an astrogeologist for a long time.
Really?
So that required all of us having to understand what that job was. And then one day she was like, actually, Ma, I don't want to be sitting in the corner studying rocks. I think I'm going to just be an astrophysicist. And so I was like, all right.
That's great.
I don't know what that person studies either. So
I do. Please Send her to Auntie
Perfect.
Florence. I have some people we can talk to.
Good, because I was like, I don't know what that person studies either. I didn't know what the geologist studied. That took a long time. But, talking to her, she's in 6th grade. Navigating 6th grade emotion takes a lot more time. And so I do enjoy, I pretend not to enjoy, but I do enjoy taking her to the mall and like her hanging out with her and her girlfriends and watching them navigate their friendship. How they build and how they talk to each other, kind of helping them be like, that's not really how girlfriends really do. That's not a girlfriend thing. That, like that's, that's, you shouldn't do that. That kind of thing. Seeing her style, I don't want to say trying to influence her style, but I will admit that the culture in which kids live in today, and I know it's funny, our parents said that when we were young, that we were living in a culture that is different. They'd be like, today, if it's, that kind of thing.
That was always the shopping. You can't
that was always the
shopping.
You can't. Yeah. And now I'm looking and I'm like, oh, you really, that shirt really is like 3 inches above your belly button. You realize that, right? It's a bra at this point. And she's like, no, it's a top. But I'm like, it's not going to get approved by daddy. And she's like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to win. It's not a winner. It's not a winner. It's not a winner. And so we're having these moments where we're trying to figure out self and style. So a lot of my time is spent with her and that's great. And I enjoy the fact that I have the flexibility of work that I can make time to just be like, yeah, you want to go to the mall? Let's go. Yeah. Let me see what y'all are listening to, what y'all are looking to buy. And, and then do my old lady. Oh, I used to wear that outfit back in the, she's like, Mommy, please stop.
So she's not in your closet. She is. I was going to say, I'm sure she's digging in my closet.
She digs in the crates. I have a sneaker collection, so I'm still a sneakerhead. And she comes in and is like, you have these Jordans? I'm like, girl, I've had those Jordans for a long time. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so she wants to wear your shoes. She wants to wear your earrings. One day she went on and put on my Cartier watch and was like, I'm going to wear your watch to work. I was like, my friend, that's not what you're going to do. You don't know how long I suffered before I could afford to buy Cartier. You put that watch down. Stop being stupid. Sit yourself down someplace. But yeah, she's cool. She's funny. She's smart. She reads a lot. And so, and so vicariously, I know what she's reading. But I do just enjoy being at home, hanging with I like the stuff we used to do. Go to brunch, hang with your friends, sit on the couch, not have anything to do, and just, unwind and talk to each other and figure out how's life and all of that stuff, So that's how I...
Okay. So it's not all work.
It's not all work. And at this age, also because of perimenopause, your girl got to go to the gym. I don't like the gym, so it's never something that I talk about. Like, I love going to... I don't like it, but I do have to go to it in order to fight Perry as she tries to make me a 500-pound woman.
Right. And just because care for the aging starts before you age.
Before you age, yes.
Yeah. So
absolutely. So yeah. So those are my things. Those are my stuffs.
Lovely. Lovely. So tell us where we can find you, where we can find Fourth Phase, and any last thoughts you want to share with our listeners.
Where can you find us? Fourth Phase. You can find us on Instagram and on Facebook at Fourth Phase Box. And that's FOURTHPHASEBOX. And those are our socials, or pretty much our socials. And our website is fourthphasebox.com. Find me. I'm on Instagram as N Eyeson, which is first initial last name. My first last name, not the married one. NEYESON. And what is some parting words is, if you can think about something, you can create it.
Yeah.
You just have to figure it out part. But if you can think about it and ideate on something and you keep ideating on the same thing over and over again, it's kind of like your cue to be like, all right, let's see how I can make this something into a reality.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably my parting words.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nana. We really appreciate you. All right, Glocal citizens, this has been another episode of the podcast. You can catch us Tuesdays with new episodes at glocalcitizenspod.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Please like, share, subscribe, leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you. It helps others find great content on the internet. Remember, Glocal Citizens is 5. So go through those crates and check out our episodes of the past because there's so much presence in all of them. Until next time, bye for now.